Love you.
Love you too. Good luck.
There's nothing quite like first day nerves, especially when all eyes are on these two new Victorian MPs.
And how are you feeling about your stage today?
I'm good.
I'd rather would use cannabis for socialising than alcohol. I like to wind down with cannabis.
I have been both a recreational and a therapeutic user of cannabis now for 42 years, at the risk of showing my age, yeah.
The recreational use of cannabis that David Edershank and Rachel Payne are talking about is illegal in Victoria. But they're Legalise Cannabis Party MPs, and as the name suggests, they're on a mission.
This is us here.
Yep. And it just really struck home to me that I'm having this cannabis, it's in my own home, I'm not hurting anyone, and I'm breaking the law. And the system is just really wrong on this issue. All right. We're going to do whatever we need to do to achieve sensible regulation of cannabis in Victoria.
They'll likely have the balance of power in the upper house, which will make them very influential.
David's today, so I'm just going to be sitting there and enjoying everyone's speeches.
4% of Victorian voters gave Rachel and David their first preferences. The party's rise in popularity coincides with a boom in medicinal cannabis. About 335,000 scripts have been issued across Australia over the past 6 years.
It is growing quickly. There's been significant investment in the industry.
This is cannabis being grown for legal medications. It's an estimated $400 million industry, and this production facility here in Mildura is one of the largest in Australia.
This facility operates year-round, so it can produce capacity of around 12,500 kilograms of dry flower out of this facility. This is for patient use here in Australia and potentially for export as well.
Medicinal cannabis is big business. Can Group is one of about 40 ASX-listed medicinal cannabis companies. But doctors aren't rushing to endorse the drug.
The evidence shows that there are lots of other treatments that provide benefit, and that needs to be explored first.
In terms of doctor pushback, it's a whole new area. So prohibition has meant that there hasn't been the research done in this space, and Australia is one of those key medical markets that has a very conservative approach to show me the evidence.
Medicinal cannabis has become a business model versus a healthcare solution. So now what we see is big business have taken over the cannabis prescribing area. You see it on buses, you see it in your social media. And now what's happening is that we're having patients think that this is the first port of call versus the last port of call.
In 2020, I developed an immuno condition, which was undoubtedly the most painful thing I've ever experienced. And I would find myself most evenings just sitting on the back deck, having a joint, and it was actually really, really good for just relaxing me and reducing my nervousness.
The majority of people we see who are using medicinal cannabis are accessing it through the illicit market. And one of the things that I would love to see is that you can grow your own at home.
Growing or possessing cannabis without a script is still illegal everywhere, except for the ACT, where a small amount has been decriminalised for private use. But people still do it because it's far cheaper than purchasing it legally at a pharmacy.
Usually people come in with chronic pain or anxiety or insomnia. These are the three main areas that I see over here. Medicinal cannabis is a medication of last resort. So they don't just walk off the streets with like, oh, I've just got an acute pain and I'm here for it. So it's usually chronic, it's been on for years.
It's not a simple process. Most GPs and prescribing nurses have to apply to the TGA for a special permit each and every time they want to prescribe a patient with cannabis.
So prices can range from $70 right up to $350 or more. The whole idea about medicinal cannabis is that we can guarantee what's in the bag.
And so what sort of questions do people have about medicinal cannabis? Is there a level of hesitation still when people come here?
The question they ask most is about driving.
What do people ask?
If they're pulled over by the drug bus, would they be charged if they've got cannabis in their system? And the answer is yes, because it's only about presence, not impairment.
That's the first thing these new Victorian MPs want to change.
We're looking for cannabis to be treated exactly in the same way that any other prescription drug is treated, which is if you've got a script and you're not demonstrating signs of impairment, then you should be able to go around your business.
You were wondering when I was going to get to cannabis.
They've taken their seats in the Victorian Parliament.
The current cannabis prohibition makes criminals of millions of otherwise law-abiding citizens, particularly the most marginalised and vulnerable. Because of these laws, I am a criminal and I have been committing criminal acts for over 40 years.
And I suppose in my more optimistic moments, and as an ABC tragic, I actually really look forward to that time where on a Friday evening I can put my feet up, put on Gardening Australia, and I'll see Costa talking about how we can best prune our own cannabis plants to get that good crop.